There is a $2 powder sitting on the shelf of your nearest grocery store right now. It kills every termite that touches it, destroys the bacteria inside their gut that allows them to digest wood, and eliminates entire colonies without a single drop of synthetic pesticide. No fumigation tent, no annual service contract, no drilling into your foundation. Just a white powder that dissolves in warm water and has been killing wood-destroying insects since before the Roman Empire fell. The EPA registered it as a pesticide. North Carolina State University confirmed in 2024 that it causes lethal disruption of the termite gut microbiome at the bacterial level. The ancient Egyptians used it more than 3,000 years ago. The Chinese used it 1,700 years ago as a preservative. The Romans used it to forge unbreakable glass and protect metal from corrosion. 3 civilizations separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, all arriving at the same compound, all using it to preserve what mattered most. Then in 2001, a researcher named Bradford Card at the Noble Research Center at Oklahoma State University exposed 2 species of subterranean termites to this compound mixed into soil. He placed colonies in foraging tubes and watched the insects tunnel directly through the treated earth. They did not avoid it. They could not detect it. And within 12 weeks, mortality rates climbed steadily with every increase in concentration, reaching near total colony death at higher doses. The termites carried the compound back into their nests on their bodies and fed it to their young without ever knowing what they were spreading. The termite control industry generates $5.7 billion a year, selling you chemical barriers, proprietary bait stations, and annual service contracts that cost between $700 and $2,000 per treatment. A method that uses a naturally occurring mineral you can buy for $2 at any hardware store cannot be packaged, branded, or sold on subscription. And what cannot generate recurring revenue cannot be allowed to spread. They did not bury this because it failed. They buried it because it worked too well. This is the story of borax and how a $5.7 billion industry it ever existed. Welcome to Buried Knowledge. The year is roughly 1500 BC, somewhere along the sun-scorched banks of the Nile in Upper Egypt. A builder runs his hand along the wooden beams supporting a grain storehouse for the pharaoh. The dry desert air carries the faint smell of dust and natron. He notices something wrong. The beams are riddled with tiny tunnels, the wood crumbling like wet sand between his fingers. Termites have found the grain stores. In a land where wooden structures mean the difference between a fed army and a starving one, this is not a nuisance. This is a catastrophe. Builders who treated their timber kept their granaries standing through the flood season. Builders who did not watched their stores collapse into dust and lost entire harvests to the swarm. But the builder does not panic. He reaches into a clay vessel and pulls out a fine white powder traded along the caravan routes from the east. He mixes it with water, and he paints it carefully onto every exposed surface of wood. The powder soaks in slowly, drying to a faint crystalline residue barely visible to the eye. Within days, the tunneling stops. The wood hardens beneath his palm, chalky and dry, where it had been soft and spongy. The grain stores hold. He does not know why it works. He has no concept of gut bacteria or microbiome disruption, but he can observe the result clearly. Where the powder touches wood, the insects die. Where it does not, they feast. 2,000 miles to the east, roughly 300 years after the death of Christ, Chinese artisans are using the very same compound. They call it a name derived from the word for white. They brush it onto pottery to create brilliant glazes, the surface hardening beneath their fingertips to a smooth, glassy shell. But they also discover something else. Wood treated with this compound does not rot. Insects will not eat it. Fungus will not grow on it. Temples built with borate-treated timber still stand. Temples built without it returned to the earth centuries ago. Then consider the Romans. In the court of Emperor Tiberius, around 30 AD, a craftsman appears carrying a glass vase of astonishing clarity, warm to the touch from the furnace that shaped it. He drops it deliberately on the marble floor. The court gasps. The glass does not break. It is the first known borosilicate glass made with the addition of boron compounds. Tiberius, ruthless and paranoid, demands the secret. The craftsman refuses. Tiberius has him executed. 3 civilizations, 3 continents. 0 contact between them, arriving at the exact same mineral compound. That is not coincidence or accident. That is fundamental chemistry, patiently waiting to be understood by modern science. The Egyptians did not understand microbiology. The Chinese had no electron microscopes. The Romans had no concept of cellulose digestion, but they could all observe the same result. Where this white powder touched organic material, decay stopped and insects died. For 3,000 years, this was common knowledge, freely shared and openly practiced. Then the modern chemical industry arrived, and with it came a radical and profitable new idea. What if you could sell people an expensive, recurring solution to a problem their great-grandmothers already knew how to solve for free? Stay with me, because what Bradford Card discovered at Oklahoma State in 2001 changes everything we thought we knew about termite control. But first, everything you have seen so far is just barely scratching the surface of what was buried deep. Inside the vault, you will find the complete borax termite treatment protocol, the exact mixing ratios for wood preservation, the bait station construction guide that costs less than $5, the preventive treatment schedule for new and existing construction, and the full comparison chart of borax versus every major commercial product on the market. Over 10 complete guides, all in one single place with no fluff. The link is in the description. But stay right here with me because this video just began. In 2001, Dr. Bradford Card, a researcher at the Noble Research Center at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma, published a landmark study in the journal Sociobiology. He exposed eastern subterranean and Formosan subterranean termites to soil treated with boric acid at concentrations ranging from 0.05% to 4%. He placed the insects in foraging tubes where they could choose treated or untreated paths. He watched them tunnel directly into the boric acid without hesitation. The compound was completely non-repellent at concentrations of just 0.25%. Entire test colonies of eastern subterranean termites died. At 4%, both species sustained near total mortality. He also documented something critical. The boric acid destroyed the protozoa living inside the termite gut, the symbiotic organisms that allow termites to digest cellulose. Without those protozoa, a termite starves to death, surrounded by food. Then in 2024, researchers Aaron Ashbrook and Dr. Kobe Shaw at North Carolina State University in Raleigh published a study in the Journal of Economic Entomology that went even deeper. They used 16S ribosomal RNA gene sequencing to map the entire bacterial community inside the termite gut before and after boric acid exposure. Boric acid caused lethal dysbiosis. It did not just kill protozoa, it collapsed the entire microbial ecosystem. Beneficial symbionts essential for nutrition decreased sharply. Opportunistic pathogens surged. Mortality increased in a dose-dependent manner. And because boric acid is slow-acting and non-repellent, contaminated workers carried it back to the colony through social feeding before showing any symptoms. The EPA has registered borate compounds as pesticides. Timbor, a borate wood preservative manufactured by U.S. Borax, carries a full EPA registration for the prevention and control of drywood termites, wood decay fungi, carpenter ants, old house borers, and powder post beetles. Boracare, another borate product, is the only borate-based termiticide registered by the EPA as a primary perimeter termite pre-treatment for new construction. The science is peer-reviewed. The products are EPA registered. The mechanism is confirmed at the molecular level. And then something very strange and very quiet happened. Almost nothing changed in the industry whatsoever. And here is the part of this story that should genuinely make you angry. The global termite control market was valued at $5.48 billion in 2024. That figure comes from the business research company published in their 2025 Global Market Report. It is projected to reach $7.77 billion by 2029. Companies like Rentokil Terminix, BASF, Syngenta, and Rollins dominate this market. Rentokil's acquisition of Terminix alone created a $10 billion revenue powerhouse spanning 90 countries. Here is how the money works. You pay for an initial inspection. Then you pay for chemical treatment, typically $700 to $2,000. Then annual monitoring, another $200 to $400 per year. Then the bait stations need checking. Then the chemical barrier needs refreshing. Then the warranty requires renewal. 5 years of professional termite protection costs a single household between $3,000 and $8,000. Over 20 years, that can exceed $15,000. That is not a product. That is a subscription disguised as a chemical barrier. Now consider borax. You cannot patent sodium tetraborate. It has been a naturally occurring mineral for the entire history of the planet. You cannot trademark boric acid. It is one of the most common boron compounds on Earth. You cannot build customer dependency on something that costs $2 at a grocery store and can be mixed with warm water in a kitchen. And what you absolutely cannot control, you have to bury fast. Now imagine presenting to shareholders a competing technology that costs $2, requires no proprietary chemicals, and can be purchased at any hardware store on the planet. A technology made from a naturally occurring mineral anyone can buy for pocket change, requiring zero electricity, zero brand loyalty, and zero replacement schedules. The EPA registers borate compounds as effective against termites. The same EPA oversees an industry that charges thousands of dollars per treatment using synthetic chemicals that require annual reapplication. Borax-treated wood does not need reapplication as long as it stays dry. The EPA confirms that a $2 mineral kills termites, yet the industry in Samotion regulates sells you a $1,000 chemical that requires annual renewal to do the same job. Read that again. The message was simple and hammered into every household. Only professional-grade chemicals applied by licensed technicians are powerful enough to protect your home. Your grandmother's cleaning powder is just a laundry booster. Trust the service contract. Trust the annual renewal. Never question either one. If you have made it this far, you already know more about borate termite control than 99% of people on Earth. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs to remember what the industry made us all forget. Everything they buried is in the complete vault. The link is in the description. Now stay with me because the next part is what they truly do not want you to hear. Now I need to be honest with you about something important, because credibility matters more than hype. Borax is not a perfect standalone solution for every termite scenario. It does not penetrate deeply into soil the way liquid termiticides do, which means it is less effective as a soil barrier against large established subterranean colonies with deep underground nests. It is water soluble, which means exterior applications exposed to repeated rain lose effectiveness over time, and it works slowly. This is not a same-day extermination method. Results typically appear over days to weeks, not hours. For deep subterranean infestations that have already caused structural damage, combine borax treatment with a professional inspection to assess the full extent of damage. For exterior applications, reapply after heavy rainfall and protect treated wood with a sealant or finish coat. But here is what borax does better than almost anything on the market. It is non-repellent, meaning termites cannot detect and avoid it. It kills through social transfer, meaning contaminated workers spread it through the colony. It destroys the gut microbiome, meaning affected termites cannot recover. It preserves wood against future infestation when applied to bare timber. It kills wood decay fungi simultaneously, and it is about as toxic to humans and pets as ordinary table salt when used as directed. Here is exactly what to do. Go to any grocery store, hardware store, or home improvement center and buy a box of borax powder. The most common brand is 20 Mule Team Borax. It costs between $3 and $6 for a 4-pound box. That single box contains enough material to treat hundreds of square feet of wood surface. For a liquid treatment solution, dissolve 1 tablespoon of borax powder in 1 cup of warm water. Stir until completely dissolved. Pour the solution into a spray bottle. Spray all accessible bare wood surfaces, including joists, sill plates, rafters, and any wood showing signs of termite damage. Apply 2 coats, allowing 6 to 24 hours between applications. Let the wood absorb the solution fully. The borax will form a protective barrier inside the wood that termites cannot detect and cannot survive. For a bait station, soak a section of corrugated cardboard in a borax solution mixed at 1 teaspoon per 8 ounces of warm water. Keep the concentration below 2% so termites feed freely without detecting the poison. Place the soaked cardboard near foundation walls, near mud tubes, or beside damaged wood. Termites will consume the treated cellulose, carry the borax back to their colony through social feeding, and spread it to soldiers, nymphs, and reproductives. A homeowner in North Carolina documented this method over a 6-month period in 2022. He treated the exposed joists and sill plates in his crawl space with a 10% borax solution and placed treated cardboard bait stations along his foundation. Within 3 weeks, he observed a dramatic reduction in termite activity. Within 2 months, all visible mud tubes were abandoned. He estimated savings of over $2,000 compared to the professional treatment quote he had received from a national pest control company. Now compare that to professional chemical treatment. The average liquid barrier costs $1,000 to $3,000 for initial application plus annual renewals. Bait station systems cost $1,000 to $2,500 for installation plus monitoring fees. Over 10 years, total cost reaches $5,000 to $8,000, or $2 of borax powder, a spray bottle, and 20 minutes of your Saturday. 0 annual renewals. 0 service contracts. The science is settled. The history is undeniable. The evidence is overwhelming. And yet a $5.7 billion industry would rather sell you annual chemical contracts and proprietary bait stations every single year than tell you about a $2 powder that has been killing termites for 3,000 years. This knowledge did not disappear. It did not die. It was buried under billions of dollars of marketing annual service, agreements, and fear-based advertising designed to convince you that only licensed professionals wielding patented chemicals can protect the largest investment of your life. Your great-grandmother knew, and now so do you. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it forward. Every share preserves what the industry invested billions to erase. The next vault opens soon. What is inside is even heavier.